We are now.
We are now.
All right, guys. For the plaintiff, we have Mr. Gardner. We have a witness. And for the defense, Mr. Greer. A little short take, about 5 minutes at 180 words per minute. Examination by plaintiff, Mr. Gardner. Ready? During that first visit, did you have any conversation with anyone relating to adjustments that were proposed to the books by Ames and Ames?
I believe there was a discussion, but I can't recall exactly who was in on it, but there was an accounts receivable reserve adjustment.
Can you recall what was said on the subject of the accounts receivable reserve adjustment?
Excuse me, you say you don't recall who, but was that someone at Ames and Ames or?
Not from Ames and Ames. There were no people from Ames and Ames involved in my visit over those 4 days.
Do you recall whether it was an employee at Northern as opposed to United General's staff, or was it outside parties?
Or both?
No.
Or all of them?
It was probably all of them.
Mr. Gardner, I haven't said anything before, but I don't think the witness needs coaching. I am sure he can answer the questions himself.
I'm sorry, I didn't think that I was coaching the witness.
Please take a little more time with formulating your questions, sir.
Well, all right then. Can you recall more specifically what was said with regard to accounts receivable adjustments proposed by Ames and Ames?
A copy of this aging of accounts was produced at the first meeting, and I pointed out to Mr. Folson that while I knew there were collection problems, I thought they should be more concerned about the validity of the accounts receivable.
I am sorry, this would pertain to the meeting at Northern, or are we still on Ames and Ames?
Pardon me, I got back to the meeting. I don't remember that anyone from Ames was there.
You said a copy of the aging report was produced. Was that dated December 31?
I believe it was from January.
Do you recall whether that was prepared by Northern personnel?
Yes, Northern personnel.
Did you make any inquiry into how they determined the validity of the accounts receivable reserve that had been set up on the books in September?
No, the specific amounts were not discussed.
Was there any other conversation concerned with accounts receivable or any related matter?
When, please?
During that first visit?
Very definitely. Mr. Folson and I had talked on the 9th, I believe, with Mr. Tabor. If I may disagree.
Well, I don't.
Please let him answer, Howard.
All right.
When we arrived at Northern, I was introduced to a group they had assembled in Mr. Donnelly's office. There were several people there. Donnelly said that United General was going to give them some assistance in setting up new procedures.
Well, I don't think.
Go ahead, Mr. Ernest.
Before we get too far on this.
He is entitled to complete the answer.
But it is not responsive to any question.
If my statements are going to be interpreted as coaching, I think he is entitled to answer the question.
Is there a foundation?
Sir, how about this? If you want to relate conversations, please do it in terms of answers to questions. I know you have some pet things you want to say.
Pet things?
I will object to that.
Well, just give us a chance to develop a foundation of when, what, and who. If relating a conversation is called for by the question, then that is fine. But such a response was not called for here.
I am sorry.
You don't have to apologize, Mr. Ernest. Just answer the questions to the best of your ability.
I am trying to do that. It just seems sometimes that the answers don't make the kind of sense they should without the rest of the story.
Well, let's try this. During the first day of your visit at Northern, did you have any conversations with Mr. Donnelly?
Oh, yes.
Who was present at the conversation?
Was there more than one conversation?
Well, one big discussion when we first got there in the morning. After that, it was sort of just dropping by and checking in.
All right.
With respect to that first big conversation in the morning, was there anyone else present besides yourself and Mr. Donnelly?
Yes.
Who?
Harold Donnelly, Bob White, Pete Folson, and Maxwell and myself.
Was Mr. Tabor present?
Yes, Bob Tabor was there. That is the person who got me involved in all of this.
Now, were these individuals present at any other conversations that you had over the course of that day?
Well, during the course of the first meeting, it was decided that I would spend some time with each one of the individuals.
I move to strike the answer as not responsive to any question. It is also a conclusion of what was decided.
Sir, the gist of that comment is again that we are interested in your giving us only what we are asking for in the question.
All right, I am sorry.
You don't have to be sorry. Were those individuals present at any other conversation you had during that day?
They were not present for my conversations with Donley. Again, no, but I did talk to them.
I think he will get to that.
Right. How long did that first meeting last?
An hour or two.
The first meeting was an hour or two?
Right, sir.
I don't know what happened.
I do.
We all do that.
All right. Stop the recording for your RTC purpose.